Christian Wilkins' disappointing tenure with the Las Vegas Raiders is officially over. What started last March with a 4-year, $110 million contract has come to an end after only 16 months, 5 games, $49.7 million made, a foot fracture, a kiss on the forehead, and a grievance filing. In this video, we're covering all of that. Why did he get that contract to begin with? He was the top defensive free agent on the market. After being a 13th overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, he produced really well in Miami, especially in his contract year. However, the Dolphins couldn't keep him because they had several pricey veterans on their team: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Ramsey, and Tua Tagovailoa. He was a remarkably consistent player for them, as he played in every game from 2021 to 2023. In that span, he had 252 tackles and 17 sacks, 9 of which came in his final season in Miami. In his last game with the Dolphins, which was a playoff loss in a frigid cold Kansas City in 2024, Wilkins knew that the writing was on the wall.
Love y'all, keep fighting. Remember this feeling when y'all training in the off season. Take this with you for real, cause and just have the right mindset when you come back next year. Yeah, just be ready to kill everything, man. Love y'all.
Wilkins was the top defensive free agent on the market that following offseason. He was the big prize, and as a Bengals fan, I wanted him in a bad way. I have receipts. Our defensive line sucked. Instead, we got Sheldon Rankins, and he turned out to be a zonk. He's already back in Houston after only 1 season. Super. The Raiders got him to go alongside Max Crosby and form an elite defensive line. His first year, not that great. It was admittedly a small sample size, as in 5 games, he had 17 tackles, 11 of which were solo, and 2 sacks. And how much money did he make with the Las Vegas Raiders? $49.7 million. $24 million of that came by way of his 2024 signing bonus, his $5 million base salary from 2024, 5 games of $24,000 per game, which led to a $120,000 roster game bonus, a $92,000 workout bonus, and a $20.5 million restructure bonus in 2025. To put that into a stats perspective, he made $9.94 million per start, just over $2.9 million per tackle, just over $4.5 million per solo tackle, $24.85 million per sack, just over $201,000 per snap, per forced fumble. Mama said I can't divide by 0. So think about that the next time someone says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. His Raiders tenure had exactly as many sacks as his Dolphins tenure had receiving touchdowns on offense. No, really. He caught one from Ryan Fitzpatrick and one 2 years later from Tua. But even with meager production in 5 games, that alone wouldn't cause him to get released 1 year into a major investment like that. Players like that don't get released unless things go horribly, horribly wrong. So what went wrong? In his 5th game against the Broncos, he was in the midst of his best game as a Raider. And then kaflooey. He had a foot injury. There was no exact aha moment that he got injured. But per former Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce, it happened early in the 2nd quarter. He played through it for a while and even managed to sack on Bo Nix with 2 minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. It was later determined that he had a Jones fracture in his foot and he had to have surgery and he was put on injured reserve. So what is a Jones fracture? Per the Cleveland Clinic, Jones fractures are a type of broken bone. They happen when you break your 5th metatarsal, which is the bone that joins your pinky toe to the base of your foot. You'll probably need surgery to repair the bone, and it takes 3 to 4 months to heal. He got that surgery right away, and he missed the remainder of the 2024 season. But despite all the work that Wilkins put into rehabbing his injury, his rehab did not go according to plan. 2025 didn't start off well, as he began training camp on the physically unable to perform list. His foot is still injured, and Wilkins and the team were disagreeing on the next step in his rehab process. The team said, hey, get a second surgery. And then Wilkins was like, no, I want to rehab it. Which, by the way, where do you rehab a Jones fracture in your foot?
Jones barbecue and foot massage. Jones barbecue and foot massage.
Thanks, Rob. Soon after this disagreement happened, Ian Rappaport dropped a bombshell. 16 months after signing the mega contract, Christian Wilkins was released by the Las Vegas Raiders. In a statement, the Raiders said, "We have decided that it is in the best interests of the organization to move on from Christian Wilkins, and he has been informed of his release from the team. This franchise has a commitment to excellence on and off the field. With no clear path or plan for future return to play from Christian, this transaction is necessary for the entire organization to move forward and prepare for the new season." Side note, Raiders, I don't think now is the time to capitalize the words commitment to excellence. So as a result, the Raiders released him with a terminated vested veteran label. What does that mean? A vested veteran refers to a player who has at least 4 accrued seasons of NFL service, and terminated means he was, well, terminated. According to the NFL rulebook, an otherwise qualified player will not be entitled to termination pay under this article if the club can demonstrate that, after receipt of a written warning from his club in the form attached hereto as Appendix 1, the player failed to exhibit the level of good faith effort which can be reasonably expected from NFL players on that club. There was also a report of an incident that happened at a Raiders practice, and right away everyone was like, what the f*** happened? And we found out. Rard from Psycho Stick, take it away.
Smooch, 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 smoochy, smooches.
How many smooches to be exact?
4,836,559,107.2.
That's right, Christian Wilkins allegedly gave an unwanted kiss to a player on the Raiders, which many people speculated was defensive tackle Adam Butler. Now, in Wilkins' defense, a weird kiss on the forehead is the official greeting of Las Vegas. But I digress. Now, despite its playful nature, Adam Butler nonetheless felt uncomfortable and took offense to it, and as a result, he did the right thing by filing a complaint with the Raiders' HR department. Not that HR! That's better. Now, I'm not sure if Adam Butler was offended because Wilkins didn't buy him dinner first, but that incident was a factor in the Raiders terminating his contract. It wasn't the sole factor, especially given the alleged playful nature of the kiss. You can't always oust someone from a job because of an unwanted kiss. You can sometimes, but not all the time. Trust me, we've tried. And just because I want to be fair, we tried. Now, this is not an isolated incident. When he was at Clemson in the 2016 Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State, he appeared to inappropriately grab Buckeyes wide receiver Curtis Samuel. When that happened, Wilkins apologized and understood that it wasn't a good look. Clemson won that game 31-0, so at least someone on Ohio State scored that night. And honestly, at least no one else on that Clemson team was a sexual predator. Now, all jokes aside, even if Wilkins did it in a playful manner, Adam Butler did the right thing. He went to HR. He reported it. The Raiders took action. Adam Butler showed empathy for Wilkins while looking to move on to the situation and move to the future. Even if Wilkins was being silly, I'm not looking to minimize Adam Butler's experience. Because of the kissing incident and because of the Raiders' disagreement with Wilkins on the rehab process, the Raiders thought it would be in their best interest to cut Wilkins. So what's next? The Raiders are attempting to void the remaining $35.2 million in guarantees on Wilkins' contract, and in turn, Christian Wilkins and his agent have filed a grievance with the NFLPA. How does that work exactly? No idea. But after extensive research, I kind of have an idea. The first step in filing a grievance is filing a grievance. Wilkins and his agent are going to file it through the NFLPA, and they're going to be like, hey, that was guaranteed money. I would like that money. After the initial review and the joint approval of a neutral arbitrator, there's the arbitration hearing itself. Christian Wilkins is going to say, hey, the Raiders are just using these as an excuse to not pay me all the money I'm owed. And the Raiders are going to use the, hey, we have a very strict don't non-consensually kiss guys on the forehead and listen to our medical advice policy argument. And then they're going to consider all the evidence, emails, text messages, a DNA swab of Adam Butler's forehead. And once they consider all that, the arbitrator will decide if Wilkins gets paid or if the Raiders get to use that money on a speedy wide receiver that they drafted 3 rounds too early. So what's next for Christian Wilkins as far as his future in the NFL? This is likely far from the end of Christian Wilkins in the NFL. However, he likely won't be making 9-figure contracts anymore. There are teams in need of defensive line help who will vie for his services. He's about to enter his age 30 season, and he still needs to rehab his foot injury. It likely won't be this year, but in 2026, Wilkins has an opportunity to rebound and get a new lease on life with a new squad, whoever that squad may be. And that's all I have for this video. If you like this video, give it a super sexy thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for super sexy content, and stay tuned for more sports content that you didn't ask for.